Happy Friday evening, everyone. Getting closer to a couple things. Playoffs. We got the playoff game right after the show with Bama and Oklahoma. Not as interested. I'm interested, but not as interested as the Texas A&M Miami game tomorrow. We finally get to know who our opponent is about 4 p.m. tomorrow. So excited about whatever matchup comes about from that. Also, do me a favor. Y'all know the drill. Please like this video. Like, get that out the way. And then also subscribe. It's been a subscription bonanza lately. And so Nevada, I was on campus today. I'm gonna tell you when you come up. I mean, we'll talk about it when I bring you on, but I was on campus buying some Buckeye stuff, and I pulled out my phone. The ladies at the store were talking to me. I was like, here, put up my phone, said subscribe to Buckeye Scoop. They subscribed. So I'm out here in the streets, grassroots, getting subs in on campus, old school, passing out flyers at the club. But anyway, we've been going crazy with the subs. We're trying to get to our goal of 40K. You can certainly help us do that. So please subscribe. And then also Apple Podcast. If you like podcasts, go to Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe there. We're going to talk about a new name emerging in the Michigan coaching search. Very interesting. And I saw Nevada's thoughts on the board earlier. So this is going to be interesting for him to talk about as well. And remember, when you send those fantastic, wonderful super chats, they help go towards the Pay It Forward, which is our military and our first responders. We're going to look out for them because they always look out for us. Nevada Buck, what's up, brother?
Oh, man, so much. Phone's been blown up all day with Michigan coaching stuff. Started early this morning, like early this morning, and had a name come across that was, that I kind of dismissed earlier. And, I want to start off by saying we talk about a lot of the bad things that happen at Michigan because there's a lot of bad things that happen at Michigan. But I always want to be fair. Like if they have great players, I would talk about their great players. If they had a great quarterback, I'd talk about their great. If they had a great recruit, I would talk about that. So I actually think this name that's been bitter. Actually like this name. I mean, if they get this guy, this would be one that I would be like, that's a good coach for them. That's a good coach. I mean, is it the end of days? Is it Armageddon for Ohio State? No? But it would be a good coach for them, and I'd want to be fair. I'd want to be fair in terms of how we discuss that. So yeah. Very exciting. Very exciting times.
All right, so let's do me a favor then, because before you get into this somewhat positive, if it happened, update, I want to go with more bad and negative for them. Can I do that first before you?
Yes. All right. Absolutely.
So I made a clip to illustrate. Sometimes I do memes and little videos. So I made a clip to illustrate their coaching search thus far. Let's go ahead and hit it. Do you want to take this job, man? Huh? No.
Fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently. That's okay. Things are going to be okay.
So there you have it. There you have it. That is the current state of their coaching search. And so for anyone who asks, first of all, I'm going to be highly upset with you if you don't recognize the movie clip. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you were born yesterday. I'm upset with you. All right. So, and yes, that is my voice over Debo's mouth.
I was gonna say you did not pay for like somebody to do like a voiceover or something like that. I'm like, B, you did that yourself. Like Seth MacFarlane from Family Guy. He does all the voices. He does Stewie. He does Brian.
Yes.
He does Peter Griffin. Like you did that voice, and it was perfect there, man. It was perfect.
Thank you. Perfect. You just download the apps and you can get it done. But yeah, I thought that was funny. I got a kick out of that. But okay, so now that we got that out of the way, you can go ahead and announce who this candidate is that would be good for them in your eyes if they were to land him.
Well, I've got really good sources in terms of the coaching search and specific to certain teams, and a guy that I like a lot that I can confirm and I hadn't seen this before I put this up on our board. I had not seen this anywhere else in terms of confirming that this actually happened. But I can confirm that this guy actually interviewed via Zoom call 2 days ago, and that's Kyle Whittingham. Kyle Whittingham, the coach of Utah.
Yeah.
Been at Utah since 1995, I think it is. Like he's literally been there like 30 years in various capacities. He never coached anywhere else. I mean, been a coordinator like in Idaho and some other places like that, but always been in that region. No Midwest ties. 66 years old, but a really solid guy. Kyle's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah. Yes.
He's one of the good guys, and I think you know, but I can confirm that he is one, interested in the job, and two, interviewed for the job. So this was kind of news to me because the word that I got initially when he had retired from Utah was that he was going to ride his motorcycle and he had his money and he was done with coaching. Um, but I think that he's intrigued enough to probably take a run at one of the big jobs that he's open for business and he would listen. So this is a new development, at least was a new development for me in terms of confirming that his name is actually in the mix. And I like I said, I hate it because I'm so conflicted because I really like him. I
Yeah.
mean, I think he's a guy that I think if he was the coach, it would bring back that kind of healthy respect for the rivalry type of thing. It would be back to where I felt about it when I said that we always wanted to beat them, but I didn't despise them, I didn't hate them. Like I hated Sharon Moore, I hated Jim Harbaugh, and, I hated the cheating, I hated what they did to the rivalry, but Kyle's a good guy. And I think, one of the reasons he's such a good guy is one of the reasons why I think that it's going to be hard for him to get the job because he's the anti Michigan man. I
Yeah.
mean, he's an ethical guy. He's a stand up guy. He's got no Michigan ties, he's got no Michigan connections, primarily a defensive guy. But I think, his type of sensibility in terms of the way that they've always built their Utah teams, I think would be perfect for Michigan. But he is older. He's 66. And I mean, but on the flip side of that, you can say, well, Pete Carroll's 75 and he's coaching an NFL team right now. So, I guess you could argue it either way in terms of how you want to look at it. But I can confirm that Kyle Whittingham is not only interviewed for the job, but is interested in the job. And really interested in your perspectives on him, how much you know about him, or just what you've seen from the Utah game in the Rose Bowl a few years back. But what are your thoughts on Whittingham as a candidate for the Michigan job?
Yeah. So, first of all, I agree with you that he's a good guy. I mean, like, he's one of those guys that the coaching circles respect. Like, who doesn't respect Whittingham? I know Urban greatly respected him. He gushed. I know you remember that. Urban
Yep.
would gush about Kyle Whittingham. And so I think for Michigan, to me, it would be a good hire, not just because he's a good coach, which he is, and it fits what they want to do with power run game and stuff like that. But I think he's the like you said, the anti Sharon Moore, the anti Harbaugh, the anti scandal. I think he would be a good guy to bring in to, I guess, start off the good PR of a good start. Now, to me, Nevada, even if he's not long term, I think he would be their version of who did Penn State bring in for a couple of years? He cleaned it up and transitioned them from the Patriots.
Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, O'Brien. Yeah, so to me, he's gonna kind of be like a Bill O'Brien because I don't see him being there for 5 to 7 years. I can see him coming in as a guy to stabilize, get things going, and pass the baton off in 2 or 3 years if they were to bring him in. So yeah, I do think it would be a good hire. Now, recruiting wise, like you said, no Midwest ties. He would have to really, get his staff together. Great recruiters. I don't know how much Kyle Whittingham is going to really get his hands dirty in recruiting. But we're talking about limited options here. We're talking about a very challenging situation. So with all that said, I think all things considered, that would be a good hire. It's just like, it's a good hire. Now, like you said, I'm not sitting here shaking in my boots like we can't beat Kyle Whittingham, especially under the circumstances. But I would just admit to you Michigan people out there, yes, I hate your guts. I hate your team. They're disgusting. But real is real, and Kyle Whittingham is a real dude. So I would admit it. Good hire.
Yeah, I mean, that's like I said, he's such a nice guy that it's just hard for me to believe that he's a fit at Michigan. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
who knows how this thing's going to go? I mean, if you talk to Michigan fans, and if you go on, I like to talk about the prediction markets. The prediction markets can kind of tell you your prevailing sentiment, at least in terms of what people are betting with their dollars. Right now, the top candidate, according to the prediction markets, is Kalen DeBoer. Their Michigan fans are very much on the Kalen DeBoer thing, despite his protestations, despite his denials, despite the lack of contact with him and his agent. I think they're watching the Alabama Oklahoma game tonight for a completely different reason.
Yeah.
They are praying that Alabama gets blown out tonight, and that the Mayflower vans pull up at the DeBoer house, and they start yelling at him, and burning him in effigy, and throwing bricks at his window, and that he's going to jump in there and jump in the car, and head up to Ann Arbor. So it's kind of interesting how you've got people watching the game. I'm watching the game because I love college football. Two storied programs. Alabama, Oklahoma. Actually, I have a bet on Alabama in the game, so I'm going to be rooting for Alabama for different reasons. But you've got the entire state of Michigan rooting for this guy to lose because they think he's coming. Which that's another one where it would just be like, I mean, if they got him, it'd be interesting. But I I mean, I just don't know how any coach is going to do anything with that roster right now, B, because that
Yeah.
that roster is just not. It's not a great roster. And you're through this recruiting cycle. They didn't have a great recruiting class. It's like 12th or 13th in the country. And what are you going to do? I mean, how's this going to work out? I mean, like, I just don't see it working out. Depending on whoever they get. But certainly, Kalen DeBoer is not somebody who fills me with fear either. And how do you feel about DeBoer as the next head coach at Michigan?
I mean, I think DeBoer is a good coach. So it's not like, oh man, he sucks. I think he's a good coach, but he doesn't strike fear in my heart. Like, let's say, let me think who would really, really strike fear in my heart. I don't know, somebody from the NFL, or I don't know. He just, I would have to see it. I would have to see DeBoer come in and consistently recruit like a beast at Michigan, who doesn't recruit consistent top 5 classes. Lost Nevada. We'll get him back in a second. I don't know. DeBoer, I respect him. I think he's a good coach, but I'm not sitting here like, oh my God, he's, the next Bo Schembechler, even though Bo Schembechler won 0 natties. Let me try to bring you in, Nevada. Hold on. All right. Can you hear me?
I gotcha.
All right. And I don't know if you heard what I said.
Yeah, I heard you were talking about recruiting and consistency and things like that. So
yeah. It's just with DeBoer, I respect him. I do think he's a good coach, but I would need to see him kind of go to the next level, because obviously he's coming after Saban right now. He inherited a lot of talent with that Saban club, and he's doing okay. I mean, he's not terrible, but I would need to see him walk into Ann Arbor and consistently just kill it in recruiting and beat Ryan Day year in and year out. And I just don't have that fear. You know what I mean? Especially now with the Bruce Leroy glow Ryan Day and the trajectory we're on and the recruiting we consistently do. It's just like you got to catch up with that, And so I don't know. It's just either way, Nevada, I'm not shaking in my boots. Any of these candidates don't really scare me like, ooh. You know what I'm saying? Like, even Kyle Whittingham, to be honest with you, it's more like, dang, he's a good guy. Because you want to hate them. You want to hate everything, and you can't really hate Kyle Whittingham. And he's not going to come in there and be a D-bag like Harbaugh was. He's not going to be a D-bag. But like you said, it's to your point, like, he's not a good fit in that sense. He fits in schematics, and he'll fit this situation because they need a rebrand. But he's not a typical Michigan man fit, because he's not a D-bag, right?
Well, no, exactly. And that's why it's so hard to imagine him in the job. And with DeBoer, DeBoer would have to be – here's the decision DeBoer would have to make. He'd have to go, I'm going to leave Alabama with all the resources of Alabama, with the AD, with the president, with the Elephant Club, with all, and I don't know if you saw the recruiting rankings, but Alabama killed it on the recruiting trail this year. You know what I'm saying? Like they had a great recruiting class, and you'd have to leave that great recruiting class and that roster and go to Michigan where you've got that roster and that recruiting class. And so, and as you said, and you're being sized up against Ohio State, Ryan Day, Julian Sand, J.J. Smith, et cetera, et cetera. So it does, that whole DeBoer stuff just doesn't make sense to me. The Whittingham thing, I just feel like Michigan, when this report comes out from this whole effort to fire Ward Manual, which we know what the report's going to say. It's going to talk about how bad the culture is and how broken it is, and they're going to need an adult. They're going to need somebody with a pristine reputation, an elder statesman, somebody who can kind of calm things down. And like I said, Whittingham will be a guy. You're exactly right. You will not be able to hate Kyle Whittingham. We just will not be able to conjure up that good level of hate. Obviously, we'll want to beat Michigan, and we will beat Michigan. But Kyle's he's just a nice guy. I mean, he's a nice guy. And Urban has often said that if it wasn't Ryan Day, I mean, the guy that he'd want to take over the Ohio State job would be Kyle Whittingham. I mean, he's that level of character in terms of the character of the person and the individual. I mean, he's just beyond reproach. So like I said, I always like to be fair on the show. If Michigan gets Kyle Whittingham, I will salute them and say that's a good hire. Again, not a terrifying hire, not a thing, but that is a good hire. Dillingham, Hoji, or whoever the guys that more of the more realistic Jed Fish, the more realistic candidates. I don't think they're as good as Kyle is. DeBoer is kind of a wild card, but I really don't think he's in play. I just don't see a scenario where that guy. I mean, I just feel like this is kind of the Hopium Bowl going on tonight, where people are just like they're hoping for something to be there that I just now again. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is just I'm reading the situation completely wrong. But how does Kalen DeBoer walk out of it? I mean, I understand Alabama's tough on coaches and it's tough to follow a legend and things like that. But to leave that to go to a place where you got very little talent on the roster, man, I just don't see it.
Yeah, me either. There's lots of reasons to not see it. Shout out to the Buckeye Boys Twitter. They said, and this is going off what you said earlier, Nevada. Imagine being so bad off that you're rooting for a random team to lose, so you have a better chance to get that losing team's coach. Talk about completely broken. #BrokeBack Michigan. Pretty funny stuff and true. It's definitely very interesting. And yeah, I mean, I just don't. With their recruiting class coming in, they made the playoffs. You mean to tell me? Because honestly, Nevada, the only way I see DeBoer even remotely having a chance to go to Michigan is if Bama fires him. I don't think he just leaves to go to Michigan because it's a better deal. He would have to be dismissed. And why would they dismiss him, even with the whole, following Saban thing after the class they just brought in and the fact that he made the playoffs? Unless he just got absolutely destroyed, but then you possibly lose your recruiting class, right? So that nothing makes sense at all with DeBoer. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, you're not going to fire him and pay him tens of millions of dollars to leave. I mean, you're going to fire a coach who made the playoff. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
right.
No part of that makes any sense. You had to go to a place where they didn't make the playoff. And
right.
Frankly, they weren't close. I mean, they were very fortunate that Michigan had the easiest schedule they've ever had. They were very fortunate. They didn't play the Indiana. They didn't play Oregon. And the only good decent teams on their schedule they lost. Heck, they almost lost to Northwestern, for God's sake. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not a good team. So it doesn't make sense about it. I think Alabama is a tough place to play. I think Alabama is an unforgiving place to play. But if you qualify for the playoff, I mean, there's no way you're getting run. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense to me.
No, I agree. But let Michigan fans tell it. It's a wrap, and Chris Baylor said, and Scam Webb said. You know what I mean? And so, real quick, roll tide for life. Yes, sir. I will hit you with the roll tide for one time and one time only tonight. All right, just because you come in here and you show love and all that. But yes. But anyway, real quick, let me ask you before we move on. Do you think Bama can go into Norman tonight and win this game?
I do. I'm actually betting real money that that's going to happen.
That's gonna
I
happen.
just
Okay.
yeah, what I'm betting on is I like the angle of Alabama's the team that everybody said didn't, not everybody, but a lot of people said didn't deserve to be in the playoff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they got in over Notre Dame, they got in over some other teams that they felt were more worthy, and I like that angle. I like that angle because I think Alabama's a good enough team to kind of rise up. They've got good enough players that I think they can get it done. Now, winning in Norman is no small feat.
Right.
That's going to be a big challenge for them. But I really do think I think it's going to be a heck of a game.
Me
I think
too.
it's going to be a low scoring game. I see it like a 24-21 or a 2017 type of game. I think it's going to be it's going to be a fitting kickoff for this year's playoff, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited that they've fixed some of that crazy seating that they had. I mean, it's still a little wonky where
Yeah.
you've got Tulane and James Madison in there, but they're getting better about doing some of this stuff. They're getting closer to getting the 12 best teams. Um, I still don't understand this whole concept of these new. I know that they've been trying to protect the bowls to a certain degree. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's why they have the Cotton Bowl and the Rose Bowl and the whatever. But the idea that we finished the year as the second ranked team in the country, and the reward for that is potentially playing a game in Texas against Texas A&M. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
That's. Mm.
I mean, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like what are we doing?
Yeah. It's ridiculous, man. It just doesn't make any sense. And the thing about it is when they're putting these games together, they know this. They know this. Like, how are you rewarding the top teams by doing this? It just doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, they got their own agenda. Ain't no telling what's going on as far as what's leading them to do certain things, but they knew that. And it's just like, okay, we're going to punish Ohio State potentially with a pretty much a road game, at the other in Texas, and they just don't care, right? So it is what it is, man. But either way, I'm excited to find out who we play tomorrow around 4 p.m. I have a feeling it's going to be Texas A&M. I could be wrong. I've been watching them. They're a good team. They got some warts like just about every other team does. They're certainly beatable, but they have some talent. And I know that receiver Concepcion, he's a good one, and we better have a plan for him. And Reed is obviously athletic and can make some plays, but it's gonna be interesting, man. It seems like it's been forever, and we about to find out what's really good tomorrow.
Yeah, well, Reed, the quarterback for Texas A&M is he's so schizophrenic. I mean, he is either really good or really bad. You know what I'm saying? And we're just hoping that we get if we play at Texas A&M, we hope we get bad Reed on that day because when he's on, he can do some things and he can hurt you. He can hurt you things. He can hurt you with his arms. He can hurt you with his legs. Really versatile guy. I mean, the thing about A&M though is they literally played all the bad teams in the Southeast
Yeah,
Conference. You look at it, their schedule is heavily. It just was luck of the draw that every team at the bottom of the SEC they played, and the one team in the top half of the SEC they played, they lost to, and that was Texas.
yeah,
So I mean, is it a beatable team? Absolutely. But do I think if you're going to have these bowls and you're going to have these bowl tie-ins with the Big Ten and these bowl tie-ins, I know it's the last year doing that with the SEC, down there in Atlanta. I mean, have a bowl game in Indianapolis. Have a bowl game in Detroit. Have a bowl game
right.
somewhere in the Midwest for the Midwest champion. I think the fact that we have to go down to Dallas and play a road game, I just think it sucks. I think it's wrong. I think it's stupid. I think it's one thing that they've got to fix or make them home games. I mean, how good would it be if we were playing Texas and your reward for getting finishing in the top two let's make the regular season meaningful. B
Right.
Let's make that quarterfinal game a home game in the stadium. Now, how good would that have been?
Oh man, yeah, another SEC team, Texas A&M, coming up here, amazing in the cold. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It's so funny, Nevada. Just to flash back to last year, arguing with Tennessee fans. Shout out to Sports Talk Jay. Love your brother. Some of your fans, just like some of our fans, are pains. Just Tennessee fans last year were crazy. And we're trying to warn them, Nevada. We know it gets cold. It gets chilly, gets a little cold in Tennessee mountains. We understand that. But it ain't Ohio cold. We tried to tell them. And we saw them there in the stadium, shivering and just miserable. And it was just a sight to see. And we all know the famous run out with your shirts off stuff. Yeah, bring more SEC teams up here in December. It was chef's kiss to see Nevada, to see them in this Ohio cold, freezing their, uh, you know, things off.
Well, I just think that should be the reward. That whether it be a trip to
Yeah,
Outson Stadium or a trip to Bloomington or a trip to Columbus or whatever it is, because you want to make you've already kind of denigrated the regular season a little bit with this expansion of the playoff. The playoff is undoubtedly going to expand further. We know it's not going to stop at 12. It's going to go to 14 or 16 or something like that. And if you were giving home games in the first two rounds of the playoffs, that would be something that
yeah,
would keep keep you playing hard in the regular season because you want to get those slots. And I think I'm just trying to figure out for Ohio State, we get potentially Texas A&M on the road, and then we get Georgia. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they didn't do us any favors in
right.
terms of things. Now, I think I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We saw last year we had a much tougher road last year, and we won them all and did our thing. But yeah, it's just I think the format is flawed, but I'm just so excited that it seems like a million years since we played our last game. I mean, I always talk about how
Right.
much I hate buys during the regular season. I'm like, I hate buys. Well, heck, we're having experience. What is this, 3 weeks off?
Yeah.
I mean, that's an eternity. I mean, you just wonder how Ohio State's going to fire being off this long. And I think it's really going to be, we're going to be leaning on Mickey Marotti. I don't think people really understand how important the strength and conditioning coach is at a football program. I think people just kind of
Yeah.
feel like all strength and conditioning coaches are kind of created equal, and they're not.
No.
Coach Mick, there's a reason why he was the first hire from Urban Meyer and the first phone call from Urban Meyer. So I think his experience that he had last year, even though we didn't have this much time off, just his experience in terms of playing, 16 games like we did last year, I think it's going to serve him really well because nobody else in the playoff this year. Notre Dame's out, so nobody else in the playoffs got that much experience in terms of an extended season
That's a good
like
point.
Mick does.
Yeah.
And I think we got to go into this and lean on that advantage, lean on that experience that he had, and see if he can keep these guys peaking these next 3 games and see how that ends up. But that's going to be something to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, that's a good little point about Notre Dame not being in it because, we all know Ohio State. One thing I've been saying, we've both been saying, is the experience factor with Ohio State. Ryan Day, Mick, they went through the gauntlet, like literally the toughest gauntlet. So the experience is there. But then, yeah, Notre Dame is not in it. So we no other team in this tournament this year can say they've been through what we've been through. Now we still got to go. We still got to go out there and perform and bounce back from that loss and fix things and all the other stuff. And we got the best coaching staff in the country. I'm confident we're going to do that. But it's just saying, like, we went through the gauntlet. So we need to lean on that experience and do what we need to do. And I believe we will. I see some people in the chat saying, you got to beat the best. And listen, I get that. I think from our standpoint is, sure, our team still has to win games, right? Okay, line them up, whoever we play, right? We get it. We're competitors, fine. But that still doesn't dismiss the fact that if you have a tournament like this with seeding, it needs to be done correctly. It needs to make sense. You know what I'm saying? It's like in the NBA, if you got the 1 seed, starting the first round against the 3 seed, that wouldn't make sense. Sure, you can say line them up and play. You got to play, yeah, but it wouldn't make sense. That's all we're saying, Nevada.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. I just want a little sanity in the process, and look, I'm a big regular season guy too. You know, I think the regular season in college football is the greatest regular season in sports, and I just want to
Yeah.
see it protected. I want the games to be meaningful. Part of me didn't like the fact that it didn't matter all that much if we lost to Indiana. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that game was kind of a, whatever. And it's been really interesting to see how the national media has kind of embraced that game. Like Signetti's got some sort of Svengali curse over us or something. He's got the answer to beating Ohio State. And it's like, yeah, it's funny how, my concerns about Ohio State are literally limited to I hope Ryan Day doesn't trot four tight ends out in short
Right.
yardage. If he
Right.
doesn't do that, I think we're going to be just fine. So it's like,
Yeah.
that's my concern level about beating Cincinnati. Just don't fall in love with the four tight end thing, Ryan. I don't care what you read from Sean McVay's pamphlet or whatever it is. Sean McVay's got better tight ends than you do. Don't take Max Clare off the field. Don't take Carnell Tate off the field. Don't take J.J. Smith off the field. Spread them out. If we do that, we beat everybody in this tournament by multiple scores. I really think we've met the enemy, and he is us for sure. To quote the immortal Pogo.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And it's funny, my father-in-law called me randomly last night too, because he occasionally will call me, because I do the podcast and he knows I'm into this heavy. And my wife's from Cleveland. He lives in Cleveland, Buckeye fan, Browns fan, old school cat. He called me, he said, man, why they got that daggone Signetti on 60 Minutes like he doing something? Like, man, we gonna beat that butt next time you play them. Talking about Indiana. And I was just listening to him, I'm just like, yeah, let them, like I said, let them wear our princely robes. They won for the first time ever. That was their Super Bowl. Congrats to Indiana. They won. We did not play well. We did not coach well. It was not our best night. They won the game. But guess what? The national title is what we're after. And I do believe we're going to bounce back and do well in this tournament. And with Indiana, we'll see if they can navigate through these waters that we just navigated through last year, Nevada.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I know we talked about this on a previous show, but like, I don't know if this has gotten enough run. Like, they lost their best defensive lineman celebrating after the game, like jumping up and
Yeah.
down the stands, like shredded his knee and is out for the rest of the season. And it's like that's a something, man. That's a something because that guy was a monster. Had
Yeah.
a big game against us. Was doing really well, but. I think it's a precursor. I think it's a precursor for what's going to happen. It's foreshadowing problems for Indiana. I think Indiana is really going to have a problem. I think when these teams peak, when, as you said, that was their Super Bowl, that's the height, and Mendoza wins the Heisman, and Yeti wins the Coach of the Year, second year in a row, and they're getting all these accolades.
Yeah.
And if they can live up to all that, they'll be one of the first teams that's ever been able to do that because that generally is a really, really bad sign and a warning of bad things to come in the playoff.
And not to mention the Heisman. I know you could probably lump that into the accolades, but the Heisman, that's another distraction. So it's again, it's one thing being the underdog for all eternity. And it's another thing to flipping the switch and being the target and the hunted. We've been that. Like the Bane quote, you've nearly adopted the darkness. I lived in it. I bathed in it, or whatever he said. It's that's we do this. So congrats to y'all, but we got bigger fish to fry. And before we get to super chats, I at least want to mention this for those who did not see it. I'm going to briefly show you Quinton Cypher, the linebacker we just acquired. Hold on. Yeah, James Laurinaitis, number one linebacker on his board. Quinton Cypher, really, really good prospect. 6'2", 220 from Raleigh, North Carolina, 2027 kid, 4-star, the number 9 linebacker, 151st recruit nationally. Really, really good player. And it's funny, I'm looking at his profile on 247. He's got the long hair, kind of like Carrot Top a little bit, but dude is nice, man. And I know Devin did a video on this earlier. If you need more extensive coverage on this, because I'm just touching on this now for awareness, go check out his video he did earlier. But what's your thoughts on Quinton Cypher, Nevada?
Well, I think it's probably the first time in the history of my recruiting thing that I've ever done that a recruit has been compared to Carrot Top during the run up to the seriously. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years.
I'm about to show
35
you the
years.
picture. I'm about to show the picture this time.
I've been in with some of the best analysts in the world. I've been with the coach. I have never heard the Carrot Top reference before. So I was thinking like Sideshow Bob or something like that.
Bob, that's another good one. That is a great one.
But Carrot, yeah. This guy, he's got the crazy hair. He plays crazy hard, man. This guy, he plays with reckless abandon. He's one of those guys. Dare I say, like the Mike Junkin and Mad Dog in a meat market, like when the Browns made the famous draft pick and they tried to take Junkin. But this he's a stud out of Raleigh, North Carolina, and I think he's going to be a good one for the Buckeyes.
All right, let me show you this kid's hair, man, because this. Sideshow Bob is great too, but Carrot Top that's the first thing. Look at this kid. Look at his hair. Look at that. I mean, it's just, and look, at Carrot Top, what's crazy is he's actually, I don't know what he looks like today, but years ago he was jacked. Carrot Top was actually ripped.
Yeah, Carrot Top was do you think he was using steroids there, B. Moses?
Yes. I do. Yes. I do think Carrot Top was using steroids.
Yes, he was. Yes, if you have any question, there's 100% certain that he was. Yes, he was.
Carrot Top. I'm like, what does he even do? I know he used to be on the roasts. I'm like, why is he even on here? It's just weird. But that kid's hair is definitely epic, for sure. And so shout out to Quinton Cypher. Welcome to the fold, young man. All right, let's dive into the super chat. We got one so far. If you got super chats, get them in now, because if not, we bang it out. Jim Jackson, this is my guy, man. This is my guy. OSU versus Tennessee. Thanks for the 999, Jim. Still the best game I've seen to SEC. If you know, you know. Love y'all. Keep up the great work. Hashtag show enough. Hashtag Jessica. Al Buck. I get it. I get it now. Okay.
I like it.
Nah, that's good. That's well played. I've said this before. I've told this story several times. Me and Jim went to the game together. We were in a section surrounded by Tennessee fans, like in B deck. Good view, good seats, but Tennessee fans all around us. And man, listen. Again, I wish I had footage. I got a little bit of footage of me, that I posted on my socials, but I'm telling you, Nevada, I was like the section leader for the Buckeyes, like shutting the Tennessee fans up, just talking trash, just like, it was just glorious because they came in so confident, kneeling north, and we're going to take your goalposts and dump it into Oladanji. And boy, oh boy, did things go sideways quickly for them boys. In the shoe, it was glorious. Me and Jim was clowning. Great stuff, Nevada.
Well, yeah, I was looking at my Instagram reel today, and there was somebody had something about it was a clip, and it said, "This is why Texas didn't want to play at night at Ohio Stadium," and they had the thing, and Tennessee was there, and you could hear the crowd noise, and it was deafening. I mean, it was just absolutely deafening, and I've said this many times, but we might have been 70-30 in terms of fans. I mean, it was the largest contingent of visiting fans that I think will ever be in the stadium, just because it was a playoff game. A lot of Ohio State fans sold their tickets for whatever reason, for money, because they lost faith, because it was cold, because Christmas, whatever the reasons were. We'll never see an influx of visiting fans like that before. But the Ohio State fans that were there, man, they brought it. They were angry. And they were hostile, and they just the team was angry. The team was hostile. They got after him from the very beginning, and absolutely the most. It probably was. It was probably, if I had to pick one game, it was the most satisfying. That was about as satisfying a victory as you could ever it was everything about Ohio State football that I love, and I was really glad that I was able to be there and be part of that.
Satisfying is a great way of saying it, Nevada. To me, this is my strong opinion. I don't care who you are. I think this game belongs in everybody's top 5. Excuse me. Everybody's top 5. If you went to this game, it should be top 5. Because again, before the game, who knows what happens to Ryan Day and this fan base if we lose? Who knows? And everything that led up to that point.
B. If we'd have lost that game, he's gone.
Yeah.
He's gone.
So
he doesn't survive it, and we obviously by definition you don't win the Natty. The whole trajectory of Ohio State's changed on that one night. That one night, a lot riding on it.
Exactly. So you just really nailed my point, and so y'all hear that, and this is why I'm arguing. That game should be in everybody's top 5 because of how important it was, how satisfying it was, and also Nevada. It was historical. That was the first playoff game in the shoe ever. So, again, I've always for years said the 2017 Penn State game at the shoe when Saquon Barkley returned the kick return for a touchdown. We came back, touchdown to Marcus Ball, 16 straight completions by JT Barrett. I was there, and I had incredible seats. I mean, I had like the crazy hookup back then with the seats. And so it was amazing. We rushed the field, all that stuff. But this Tennessee game, y'all, hopped right over that. And that's saying something. So without belaboring the point, that's my argument with that. Jim, great guy. I was going to hit you up earlier. I have some thoughts I need to run by you, Jim. So I'm going to probably hit you up later tonight or tomorrow. And we'll get up. Toledo Geo, thanks for the 2. Q Cypher needs some soul glow. Yes, he does. Just let your soul glow. Yes. Yes. This dude, Toledo Geo, whoever you are, you're a genius. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Like, you just always come with the funny comments, man. That's just amazing. And the funny references. Tyler Buck Lewis, thanks for the 499. Pressure. Where's the pressure going to now? Where's the pressure being applied to now? In Ann Arbor. Dave Portnoy. For those who don't know, this pressure is Portnoy on the pregame, I think a week before the game, trying to taunt Urban Meyer in Ohio State, trying to project and send rivalry juju through the airwaves, suggesting that Michigan would win the game if they keep it close in the fourth quarter, and Ryan Day would feel pressure. And then, of course, Mark Ingram and his goofy self was, egging it on. It was dumb. But I retorted with cheaters. And so, yeah, good stuff. Anything on that?
Well, like, Portnoy is a clown. Ingram, like, I don't. His shtick is just tired. I'm not even.
He could be annoying.
I'm not even sure what he is. He's like a clown. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was seriously, but he's not even like a funny clown. He's one of those unfunny clowns, but he thinks he's really funny, and he wasn't there. And then watching Brittany Quinn kind of going in with it too. It's just kind of like, it was cringy, man. The whole act was really. It was just so contrived and so cringy. And look, no matter what Michigan does with this hire, no matter if they come through in the clutch and pull out a coach, you got to deal with that roster, man. You're not going to be able to come in. There's no magic that is going to make Bryce Underwood a better quarterback or put more talent on that roster or make that incoming recruiting class better. It's just not. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, it's not the X's and O's. It's the Jimmies and Joes. And their Jimmies and Joes are very, very mediocre.
Yeah, their Jimmys and Joes ain't Jimmy and Joeing. Nope, that's for sure.
That's for sure. Yeah.
And so, great points. All right, what we got next here? Chad Russell, thanks for the 2. Shout out Ted Ginn Jr. for the UFL coaching job. Yeah, did you hear about that? We got a local arena team here in Columbus coming, I believe in the spring. And Ted Ginn Jr. is the head coach. I think it's the Aviators. The Columbus Aviators is the name of the team.
Now, is that arena? Is that arena ball or is that?
Well, not arena.
Football?
It's like, I think it's more like. Let me look that up. It's
Is
not
it spring
arena
football?
ball.
Okay.
Yeah, because we used to have an arena team here in Columbus. And this is probably more like what's the league that the Jesse, was it the UFL?
Yeah. Like, this is like the Birmingham Stallions and
Yeah,
that stuff
I
right
think
there.
I think it's that. I think it's that. Yeah, that's what it is. UFL. So congrats to Ted Ginn Jr. for that. This Ohio State legend, one of my favorite players of all time, top 5. Just a great dude. Had a great long career, despite the haters trying to say, well, he couldn't catch. Well, first of all, he caught a lot of balls against the team up north, because that was mostly Michigan fans used to say that. And he had a heck of a career in the NFL, and all that. So shout out to Ted Ginn Jr. Buck, what's up, brother? Appreciate you, man. Thanks for the $4.99. Thanks for the show nightly. Any chance we get another Scoop merch drop again? Merry Christmas, fellas. Great question, Nevada. What you got on that, brother?
Yeah, no, I need to get on it. We'll definitely do another merchandise drop. We traditionally did it right before Christmas, but it kind of got away from me with this playoff and everything like that, and I didn't think about it. And yeah, so we do have a Fanatics link on our homepage at BuckeyeScoop.com. Click on the link there. It helps support anything you want from Fanatics. So you're talking about tens of thousands of SKUs of items and things like that. But yeah, we'll do another Scoop merchandise drop. The Scoop merchandise is fantastic. We've got a great partnership on that, and we'll definitely do another one of those here coming up shortly. Maybe for our to celebrate the national championship, back to back.
I think that's a great idea, because I got some ideas. I might need to holler at the Scoop, merch people, for sure. But all right. Well, listen, that's it for the super chats. I always feel like I got something like I wanted to say and I didn't get to say, but it's escaping me right now. But we did say a lot, and we had another great show. The chat, you did a great job, as you always do. I love y'all, appreciate y'all, and I'm also glad I see your comment. I'm trying to find a comment. Tyler Buck Lewis, you said that you love when B Moses does the cheaters. I'm glad somebody appreciates that, because that deserves to be mocked, idiot. How you feeling now, Portnoy? How you feeling now? Anyway, any last words before we hop off, Nevada?
Yeah, no, just enjoy the. This is the kickoff of the college football. For me, this is the kickoff of the season. Really, we got the playoffs starting tonight. Starting here in a few minutes. We got Alabama at Oklahoma. Don't miss that game, and obviously tomorrow, Texas A&M Miami. We get to find out who our opponent is. So got a lot riding here on the next 24 hours. So enjoy the games, and we'll be talking about them.
Definitely, I'm excited about to jump into this game and all that. But great show. Have fun with you as always, Nevada. And we're going to get with y'all tomorrow. Go Bucks. Peace.